Hey guys, hope you are fine. Today I'm going to share how you can create variety of donuts. The reason is I have seen a lot of tutorials on donuts and I have not seen a single tutorial that have different variety of it. So I thought I should give it a try to make different variety of it so you can make more donut for yourself. First in Blender viewport, add a torus inside of the scene. Then in edit mode, press Alt S to make it thick. After that, in object mode, apply shade smooth to it. Then add subdivide modifier to this mesh. And then in edit mode, select the top edge loop of the torus and press Ctrl plus sign to grow selection till it reaches its center. Then duplicate it and press the P key to separate it from the mesh. Then apply solidify modifier to it in object mode and increase the offset value to +1 and then increase the thickness value to give depth to the mesh. Then select the snap tool and in snap tool select face option. Then in edit mode roughly select one vertex and move it up and down to give irregular look to it. You can select an edge and extrude it down to give a dripping look to it. You will need to do the same for the inner side of the mesh. Then switch to shading tab and add material to the topping. Give brown for base color and then add bump node, Musgrave texture node and then a texture coordinate to the material. Then plug the object texture node into the Musgrave vector and Musgrave to the height node. Then plug height node into the normal node. Change the bump height value to 0.01 and Musgrave scale value to 9. You can also give dark brown color value to the topping to give different brown color variation to the chocolate toppings. Now copy these nodes and paste it inside the material which you will add to the bagel. And for the bagel, change the Musgrave scale value to 4 and give it yellowish orange color with slightly dark value. Then add texture coordinate and separate RGB in the material node and plug the texture coordinate object into separate RGB. Now add color ramp and plug the separate RGB blue to color ramp. In this way you will be able to add gradient to the object from the top to bottom. Make sure to color pick and the base color value inside the color ramp and then plug that into the base color. Now flip the color ramp and then give dark brown value for the color, black color and play with the pointer position to increase and decrease the gradient value. This will help you to make it look baked from the upper and lower side of the bagel. After that, apply all the modifier to the toppings of the donut and add cylinder to the scene. Move it up and select the top and bottom face of the cylinder and bevel it. Then select the top faces and move them up and select all the mesh and scale it down. Now select the topping mesh and click the plus sign under the particles tab to add particles to it. Then put 0 value to frame start and end. Then select object under render tab and pick the cylinder as instance object. Change the physics type to keyed inside the physics tab. You can also scale the particles by increasing the value under the render tab. Then check the rotation tab and play with the value to apply rotation to each particles. Now select the cylinder and apply material to it. Add object info inside of its material, then add color ramp. Now plug random into the color factor and color ramp into the base slot. Now change the color ramp linear to constant, and now just change the pointer position closer to black. Change the color of black to bright red, then white color to bright blue, and click plus sign to add more pointers to it. Object info helps to give each particles a different color based on its position. I have given red, blue, green color for the particles. You can add more to it. You can also scale the source mesh to scale the particles too. Now add a cube to the scene, and I'm going to make it look similar to chopped peanuts. Scale it down, and in edit mode move one of its top edge closer to other. Then bevel the other top edge opposite to it. Now select every border edge of this mesh and bevel it slightly. Now just select one side of the mesh and rotate it slightly towards the other end. Now just select the topping, and you will need to repeat the same process as I did before for the cylinder and use the particle system to randomly spread it over the mesh. After that, select the mesh and apply material to it. Give it yellowish red color, then decrease the number under the particle to have less amount of them. After that, make sure to check the ambient occlusion and increase its distance value and trace value to 1. Then also check screen space reflection and increase trace value to 1. Now just duplicate the whole donut and move it aside and rotate it slightly on z-axis. You can just click on the number next to the material to give different material to the topping, and for this material give it pink color to make it look like strawberry toppings. You can do this one more time and give different color to make it look different than the other donuts. For this donut you can give any other color. Don't hesitate to give different color, as it will look that it has different toppings to it. You can also give it aqua or blue color, as what I did for this donut. After that, select the first donut and remove one of the particles by clicking the negative sign to make variety of donuts. You can do this for the remaining donuts. Then you can also scale the source peanut mash to change the size of the particles. Same goes for the cylinder. I'm going to delete the blue toppings, only wanted to have simple bagel for this scene. Then select the pink topping and its bagel and change its position to the other side of the simple bagel. After that, I have added the same particles to the chocolate toppings as I thought it will look more better than just having peanuts on it. Now duplicate the chocolate donut and move it aside and rotate it on z-axis. Then select both chocolate donuts, duplicate them and move them to the side of the pink donut, and then individually rotate them on z-axis and duplicate one more time and rotate them again on z-axis. After that, duplicate one of them and move them aside of the pink one to complete the row and column for this scene. For the middle one, I'm going to delete the particles for peanuts. I did for the same for the right and the bottom donut, and remove every particles for the bottom left and bottom middle. Try to position all of them closer to each other. Then select the bottom left toppings and in edit mode select the inner edge loop of the donut and delete the inner vertices. Then select the top edge loop and press F to fill it, and then insert it and slightly move them down, then repeat it several times. Now duplicate the mid right bagel and scale it down in edit mode. Then select the chocolate material and drag and drop it on the bagel. For the cream, you will need to add a cylinder to the scene, and in edit mode delete the upper edges of the mesh, then scale it down, and after that add mirror modifier to it and check X and Y, then check bisect X and Y and change position of the mesh to connect all four of the mesh by bisecting the mirror mesh. After that, add screw modifier to the mesh and increase the screw value. Then add array modifier and give one value on z-axis. Then check merge and first and last option. Then add simple deform to mesh and select bend to bend it and increase the deform value to 360. This will help you to create the forms of the cream. Now rotate the mesh and position it on top of the donut. Now increase the array value to increase the radius of the mesh, and you can duplicate it one more time to the top of the mesh. After this, position both of them to the top of the donut. Then play with its pattern by positioning the mesh in edit mode and decrease the array value to decrease the inner radius. After that, apply material to it and give slightly yellowish orange color to it, and increase the subsurface scattering value and give similar color to subsurface scatter. Select the top mid donut and remove the peanut particles from the toppings. Now add 3D cursor to the selected mesh, add path from the curve and move it up on z-axis above the toppings. Then in edit mode, scale it up so that it can be wrapped around the donut. After that, subdivide it 4 times, and then in Geometry tab, change the resolution preview to 31 and increase the depth value to give depth to the path. Duplicate it to its side till it reaches the end. Same goes for the other side. Now select all and duplicate it and then rotate it on 90°. Select the toppings in Physics tab and apply collision to it, and do it for the bagel too. Then select the paths and in Physics tab select the soft body. Now just uncheck the goal. This will help you to cover the path on the toppings with better simulation. Bring the mesh closer to the toppings. Then I have just used the layout to select the donut and the path mesh and hit slash to hide all the unselected meshes. Now just click the jump to first keyframe and then you can hit spacebar to preview the simulation. Hit spacebar if you see the path mesh is dropping from the side of the donut. You can also increase or decrease the current frame value to use previous or next frame for the simulation. After that, apply the soft body physics to retain the mesh form. Then in edit mode, just select the vertices that are below the donut mesh and delete them. After that, just apply a material to the mesh. I wanted to make it look more interesting, so I will apply 2 material on the mesh. For the first one, change the color to yellowish orange and give one value inside transmission and decrease the roughness value to 0.2 to 0.3. Now increase the subsurface value to 0.442 and then give orange color to subsurface scattering. To apply second material in edit mode, just select the path which are parallel to each other. Now click the plus sign and then hit assign. Now click on new to add new material to it. You can give interesting colors to the topping of the donut. I'm going to give it slightly yellowish color. Then change the subsurface color to reddish orange. Then increase the subsurface value to 0.4 and decrease value to 0.3. After that, in edit mode, inverse the selection and move this selection slightly on z-axis to make it appear on the top of the other meshes. You can also use the same path tool or Bezier tool to create the cream of the topping of the mesh. To create spiral shaped cream, change the viewport to orthographic view by clicking numpad 1 and add a plane to the scene and rotate it on 90°. Then in edit mode, just select all the vertex except the top left and delete the remaining. Then extrude it on the left side or right side of the mesh and move all the vertex slightly to the right or left. Then press F3 and type screw and select it to apply it to the vertex. Then in dialog box, increase the step value to have more curve for the mesh and increase the turns to have spiral look to it. After that, just delete the bottom vertex of the mesh which are like mirror to it. Then select the edge loop which are diagonal. Then just delete the vertices. By doing this, you will get the wire loop of the cream. Now just rotate the mesh in edit mode in 180°. After that, position it on the top of the donut. Now from the object mode, select convert to and then select curve from mesh. Now just increase the depth value inside the object data properties to give thickness to it. Now select the top vertex inside edit mode and click O button to toggle on proportional tool and press Alt A to scale it down and use the middle mouse button to change the influence radius of the proportional tool. After this, apply shade smooth to the mesh. You can manually tweak it to give imperfection to it, and duplicate, scale, rotate and move it above any other donut to give different look to a donut. In the end, I have just used a simple cube to create the box and use the checker texture behind the donuts and use the magic texture with some node settings for the box. Then I have used an area light with HDR for the lighting setup. I will provide you the basic lighting setup with the box. You can use it for your own donuts, but if you want to get the project file, you can get it from my Patreon page. And that's pretty much about it. Hope you guys like it. If you like my tutorial, then subscribe and follow me on Patreon, where you will be able to get the project files that I have used in my tutorials. Thanks for watching.